Hi, ladies. My name is Adina in South Africa, and I have a very special guest with me again today, and it's Sarah in Turkey. And I'm going to ask her to quickly just introduce herself to us and what she is currently busy with in the ministry. Hi, Sarah. How are you?
Hi, Adina. I'm fine. Thank you. I hope you are well. Thank you so much for inviting me. I was actually waiting for someone to invite me to be a part of a podcast, so I feel very um blessed today. Let me introduce myself, ladies. Hi, I'm Sarah in Turkey. Um, I've been working now with Narrow Road Publishing House. For those of you who don't know what Narrow Road Publishing House is, if you have a book from the ministry, that's what we are doing. We are just making sure that his word and his principle are spread around the world to every women, men, and kids, children as well. So and also now we are being working in telling people's restoration journey to others as well in a way of encouraging women. So that's what I do mainly with and now with the ministry.
It's a very important task that he is leading you to do, and that's just to spread his word and distribute the books and getting it out there for all the ladies and everyone that needs hope and encouragement. So, why I'm asked you to join me today in this podcast is just to find out, your as his bride and just how did your relationship, when you found RMI the first time, how did your relationship with the Lord progress from, having him as the Lord to being his bride?
So a little bit about my background so you can understand. I before RMI, I came from I came from a Catholic background, you know.
Mhm.
So since I was young, I was always participating in everything that it was, you know. And it was always funny because no one of my family was like that. So I did have that aspect of the Lord has my Lord,
Mm.
since like a young that was introduced to me. Um, and then and later on in my journey before RMI, I got to have that relationship with him as a father, right?
Yeah.
So that relationship was actually, but never as a husband, right? So
Mm-hmm.
the relationship with my father and Lord was kind of broken for a season in my life. And that's when all that happened, you know?
Mm-hmm.
That's when my marriage collapsed and ended in divorce. And I found it always started with a crisis, and I found a remind in the middle of the crisis. And that's when I was reconciled to my father and Lord. And with that, as I was reconciled with them, I was introduced to my husband. So it is a very interesting thing because I went through this journey, right? I have them, the relationship with Father and relationship with Lord, but I didn't have as a husband. When I first heard about that, it was something very I would not say strange, but it's something that I didn't know I needed. So I'm not telling you that, oh no, I'm not going to pursue it. I really wanted, I really wanted to really get into understand more about that relationship. And let me tell you, that's when I started to struggle because I was so eager that it looks like I could never be there. Like
Yeah.
I tried every single thing, and I need the restoration journey, the abundant life courses, And I started doing my courses, and I remember that I would cry and cry and cry because I would ask him, like, I want a dad relationship and I cannot have. And I do remember that it was from out of nowhere, he led me to, I was in a difficult time and a time of exhaustion. And that was, I really saw, hey, what a minute, like, is that is like, it's like it was out of nowhere, like I start to, oh, to having that relationship with him, and everything, I think, changed in my life. Like
Mm,
it completely changed, because I would cry so much. I would cry so much to my father and my Lord, like that desperation. But when I come to talk with my husband, I would talk like, I still do it, like I'm in the street and I'm talk out loud. So that's
mm,
just the point that I got, start to practice that principle and talking with him, because he's right there with me. He's here with
yes.
me right now. So by practicing that and speaking with him, as I was speaking with someone else in the house, uh, it really helped to grow in that relationship. But there was still things that I would, at that time, I still would, but I thought that I still need someone like an earthly husband to fix things for me around, the house. And then he started showing me, like, listen, you don't need an earthly husband, to do anything. You have me, so just ask me. So I started again, and it always growing in a relationship with him. So whatever I needed help with anything, so I came to him and say, like, listen, this is not working,
Yeah.
and then he would providing anyway, or he would give me, the ways to do it, or the thing would fix itself, or he would send
Mm,
someone there to help me, but he never let me hanging. When the more that I experiences this kind, and that it started to become something that happened often in my life. So I
yes.
think that in a way it was an answer to what I prayed for, because I was so eager for that relationship to happen. Then I later on I noticed, oh, like each little thing that he's sending my way is just a way for me to just, rely on him and in his presence here with me, and asking him about things without needing to do or run to anyone else.
Mm,
And that's my everything in my life changed, so my walking, my thinking, my speaking, and not just that, but people start notice like different things in me as well. Some people would say, how could you be so joyful if with
mm,
all that happened, like, yeah, and then I would go to ups and downs, and sometimes I would be very, oh, I can't do that anymore. But then I would remember, oh, that's the best life I could have, like people would look at me like, oh, that's so good. You can do this and this and this. Like, yes, I can do it all. And the more that he was changing my heart to very being grateful, um, for that whatever season that he put in me in, the more my relationship with him would grow, you
yeah.
know and today I can speak with him because he's my friend, he is my husband, he got things done for me, like sometimes it's just a quick, hey, we really need that. And I don't know, things just happen. So I'm very, I don't know, that's one of the things I think, if I would be thankful. There's a lot of a thousand things or even more to be thankful for, with the ministry, but I think that my number one would be uh the, how can I say, like, how the ministry led me to have that relationship, because
Yes.
there is people up to now that don't have it. They don't have it. Remember that lesson? They don't have
Yeah.
it.
Yes.
So
Yes.
exactly. So, and then it's very hard. And with my own all heart, I really wanted to sit with people and, share with people about that. But it's a process, right? It took me, like sometimes I'm very eager to, just share about the love of my life. And sometimes I'm like, oh, they are not ready for that yet. And I forgot that it took me a while, and then it was a process for me as well. So he reminds me, like, listen, it wasn't that fast for you as well. But anyway, he's very kind. Uh so yeah, so that's what changed into being like to become his bride, is to you live in constantly, in that kind of there's something that Ari loves to say, like honeymoon.
Yes.
Honeymoon is usually like when the people, I don't know how to explain, like people marry, they go in honeymoon and it's so nice. It's nice and beautiful all the time. So of course you go through difficult situations. So I just wanted to tell you to hear, like, as a bride, it doesn't mean that I don't suffer. Okay.
Yeah.
It
No.
just means that I have him right there with me, and I have a relationship with him. So whatever season and situation that I go through, if it's a hard one, he's right there. And if I cry, he's right there with me. I don't need to panic. And even if though I panic, he makes me calm down. He will he always have his way. And I just was walking today, and I was thinking, like about people in relationship. And it is something that it's interesting because uh a lot of people in the world in relationships, and I'm just thinking, like, how happy I am because I don't need to be, constantly thinking, is that person being faithful or so and so, all, in trustworthy, because he is faithful.
Mhm.
He is everything. And then it's interesting because and you would say some things that he's a jealous God,
Mhm.
like in that way. And I said jealous husband because he doesn't want to see his bride, focusing all the other things, but focusing him, like, he's jealous of me. So that's kind of excited to think that way and how loved I am. So anyway.
Yes, it's and what you also mentioned is that our journeys start with a crisis, and for me it was also difficult to find the relationship with him as a husband. But after I found RMI, you start the courses, and then it's one crisis after another. It doesn't just stop, with your marriage crisis. As you go through the courses, you get more and more and more. For
Yes.
me, that's for me. And in all those crises, and especially with the custody, that's where
Wow.
I
Yeah.
really started to embrace, him as a husband, because he carries you through it. That's what you also mentioned. He carries
Yeah.
you through all those huge crises, and he's the only one you can talk to.
It is.
And you don't have to talk to anyone else. And also, like you mentioned, just talking to him about anything that breaks, or just and what you wear for the day, and
Yeah.
anything, he's there and you can talk to him. And I also thought about that lesson, two-way communication, that living lesson,
Yeah.
and
That's great.
fellowshipping with him, and just listening, also listening to him, not just us talking,
Yes.
but listening to him. So that's,
Yes.
well, for me, it changed my life completely. And
Yeah.
just to see him as my husband. And so, if you would like to encourage someone else, what would you like to share now here on the podcast to encourage others to seek their heavenly husband and to be on
Yes.
that journey with him?
I think if I could encourage anyone who is listening, at least for me, that was the way that he used to reveal himself to me as a husband, was first to uh, don't give up in pursuing him just because you believe you didn't found it, or "Oh, I there are some people that they can just simply, oh, this is not for me. It is for you, like if that's his desire for all of us to have that relationship with him. So So the first, it's pursue him and ask him, like you said, like two-way communications. He will reveal in any way so many things that I could ask him, and then I would read a praise report or the devotional, and it would be right there, you know. So those kind of things, and asking him and listening to him and being mindful of what he's doing in your life, because he never stops working in our lives. But I just ask him to show you in that way. And also, for me, this might be crazy, but just talk with him. You
Mm.
know, you think at the beginning it's awkward, like you think that you will be talking with yourself, but how many times it happened with me, I've been talking with him out loud, and in my mind I could feel like that printed, message, or it could be a verse or something that it's definitely him, because it was like talking with me, and oh, okay, thank you, like, or whenever I lost something that I'm like, I don't know where I put it. I just try to find everywhere. Can you just show me where I put it? And then out of nowhere, that, oh, okay, thank you. That was fast. I should have done that before. Kind of things just popping up in my mind, directing me. And just don't be afraid to, sit quietly. I think for me, that was the hardest thing to learn, is to be still, and really still, to just quiet my mind and my heart, and just being there listening. If I think it's a good way for us to, and I don't know if you are any person like me, I would panic, like, oh,
Mm.
it's too much silent, I can't, like, or like it's too much thoughts in my mind, I need help. But he was like, hey, listen, with all that love and kindness. So ladies, I think that don't give up in pursuing him. He is worthy. He is amazing, and the relationship with him, it's the only thing in your life that it's eternal. It's the only thing. So just start right away. Talk with him. Even if you feel like, oh, people are looking stranging at me, like, don't mind people. Just talk with him, or whatever it is that is he shows you. Each one of us, we are different. That worked for me, maybe for some others. But ask him in this case to show you, and he will show. He will confirm. So yes. So these are my encouragements for, I think, for the ladies.
Thank you for sharing, Sarah. I remember reading, I think it's in the Finding the Abundant Life, that, also if you struggle to find that relationship with him, is to ask to help you to find that relationship. And it's something I also did a lot, is to ask him to please
Yeah,
help me. Fill my heart with so much love for him
yeah,
that, and it worked, going through everything and just seeing his faithfulness and his goodness and how he carries you and the peace he gives you through any trial, that really helps. So just ask. But thank you for joining us today in this podcast and for sharing your heart with the ladies.
thank you again for inviting me, and thank you, ladies, for listening. Yes, and I hope you all will feel, for those who are not there yet, you know, just continue to pursue him, and in the time when you may last expect, you will see that you're already having a relationship with your heavenly husband.